Hello. Well, this video is going to be about the big fuss to do with the BBC salaries. However, first, I'm going to have a gripe about my late mother's bed linen because I'm sorting through that now. I'm back in the family home, and everything in the bed linen range, pillows, duvet covers, covered in flower patterns, abstract flower patterns, realistic flower patterns, rosebuds, bluebells, daisies, the lot, none of it matching, not one thing matching. And you know, what is it with old ladies and floral patterns that they like to lie in what looks like an explosion in a florist's shop? Rehearsing for the funeral parlour? I don't know what it is. Anyway, I'm getting rid of the lot of it. It's all good quality, but I can't take those patterns. All right, let's get on with the big fuss on the BBC, because there are several YouTubers who've been indulging in orgies of schadenfreude about the BBC tying itself in knots trying to equalise salaries, and in consequence have asked several of their male on-air talents to take pay cuts. First of all, that's definitely not as drastic as it sounds, and I wouldn't shed too many tears for those guys. The BBC salaries they get form just a tiny corner of their incomes. These aren't people who turn up for work in the morning, do their stint, you know, read the news or ask ridiculous questions of politicians or whatever, and then go home in the evening and get a little brown pay packet at the end of every week with some nice neat notes folded up inside it. No, these are business people, usually businessmen in their own right. When you watch a well-known top newscaster delivering the latest reports, you are watching not a man or a woman, you're watching a corporation. These guys produce and star in their own shows of various sorts. They write stuff, they act as consultants, that is, they provide a gateway for other businesses to get into the entertainment industry. They turn themselves into companies which are often subcontractors for the BBC and for which their companies, i.e. themselves, are paid. And these aren't salaries, they're commission fees. The salary is, you know, just the top level, the icing on the cake. So no, don't weep for them. I'm not begrudging them their wealth. There's a lot of stress and strain in the jobs they do. I'm just pointing out that the pay cut is probably about as significant to them as a starfish losing a leg. So what's really going on in the BBC? Some years ago, when I was working for that august corporation, there was a fuss brewing and boiling over about a politician. I don't remember exactly what he'd done, but it was something along the lines of him getting a speeding ticket or getting his secretary to buy flowers for his wife on government time, something like that. But the fuss in the press was just astonishing. It was out of all proportion. There was at least one article in the papers and one item in the spoken news every day for what seemed like weeks. I couldn't understand it. I mean, he definitely did something wrong, but to my mind, it didn't warrant that sort of attention. I mentioned it to a producer and he said to me, no, it's not very important, but that's not what they're getting at. It's for all the other times he's cheated and treated the press like dirt and they couldn't do anything about it. Now they can, so they're making the most of it. After that, I noticed that sort of thing happening a lot, and of course, I then understood what was going on. So, with this women's salaries fuss, it's not just the salaries. Those women who are complaining, they're not just talking about the money. There's no doubt that the entertainment industry is riddled with all sorts of corruption, but it excels in racism, sexism and ageism. Oh, and hypocrisy by the bucketful, because you wouldn't get one BBC apparatchik to admit to any of this. I found myself at the blunt end of all four of those of the above when I was working there. I got programme ideas stolen. What are you going to do about it then? Yeah, that sort of answer. I got whole scripts appropriated by script editors who said they'd written it and put their names to the bottom. I got groped. I got comments about my looks, my religion, my age. I was over 30 when I was working for them, and that was enough to put me completely beyond the pale. I'm not just talking about the men, by the way. There were female producers there as well, and they behaved every bit as badly as the men did. But that was because only a certain sort of female got to any position of authority in that place. And that was the sort of woman who could act even more badly than her male counterpart. The strain on the women writers, who are, believe me, all writers in the BBC and elsewhere, are just about at the bottom of the totem pole. There's a joke in the entertainment industry about an actress who is so stupid she slept with the writer. It's well known. Anyway, at that time, it wasn't that long ago, the strain on women who were working there was tremendous. The atmosphere was toxic. It wasn't that great for the men either, but at least they didn't get groped. Although at least one of my male colleagues was in a relationship with a female producer. He was a very good-looking bloke. The female producer was, how should I put this? Well, she had a good face for radio, let's put it that way. I had a hard time, but at least I had other interests. I was mature, I had other work, I had a family. Writing for the BBC was more of a sideline for me. I didn't need them, so I could walk away with not too much damage. One of my female colleagues, a younger woman, she ended up killing herself. You see, the BBC is left-wing through and through. That's because they advertise for job vacancies only in two organs: Ariel, the in-house magazine, and in the media section of the Guardian newspaper. That way, they get only people who read the Guardian, or at least pretend to. So they all toe the left-wing line. There's no worse sexism and racism than from a self-satisfied socialist, and the BBC is just about as full of self-satisfied socialists as the underside of a rock is crawling with woodlice. I think you call them pillbugs in the States. And that's the thing about women's salaries in the BBC. There are a lot of women working there who are holding a lot of anger, and I can't say I blame them for it. And, you know, what we see on the surface, what we see the BBC doing, and when you get these women who are demanding equal pay, it's not only the equal pay they're talking about. And let's get some perspective on this. They have another agenda apart from the simple issue of money. And that's it. That's what I wanted to say.